Resident Evil 3's remake has a strong and very fierce female lead character, and when that happens, the game is bound to be criticized. People used to complain that females weren't front and center in video games, that there just weren't enough strong and independent female lead characters, yet now that there are, people are complaining that the game promotes things like violence against women, which I think is bullshit. So Rock, Paper, Shotgun allowed their writer Nate Crowley to publish an article titled "What I Think Resident Evil 3, and while most of it is complaining that the game is too stressful and hard, he decided to say that the game promotes violence against women. Even though Resident Evil 3 is obviously a game with a lot of violence in general, female lead or not. I just want to say that I have already played Resident Evil 3, I live streamed it, and I enjoyed it. I have some glaringly obvious problems, such as my playthrough being 5 hours and 3 minutes to completion, or the fact that the game had points where responses were delayed, but story-wise it was very over the top. Jill should have died about 20 solid times. She took shots to the legs with rocket launchers. She jumped from buildings onto concrete, she was set on fire and had her neck torn open, but apparently the breaking point is that Nemesis is anti-woman now. I do want to flag the whole violence against women aspect of Nemesis, and of the game in general, as it's hard to deny it's a theme, or that it's presented with at least a little relish. I realized it's completely unreasonable to single out Resident Evil 3 for this when, gestures at the entire history of the horror genre. And in fairness, you play as a trigger-happy mercenary Carlos for a good portion of the game, so you get to see loads of lingering close-ups to a man's neck getting devoured like a late-night burger too. That sounds like a fan fiction that I don't want to read. But yeah, there were moments while playing that I just felt uncomfortable. Jill isn't too obviously a vessel for anyone's fetishes, but realistic as she is, she's clearly designed to be sexy. And she spends an awful lot of time being hurled into things, slapped about, grunting in pain, being asphyxiated and either struggling to force assailants off her, or being graphically murdered by them. There was one particularly rough bit where one of the previously mentioned spider monsters strangled her with tentacles, then rammed a bigger tentacle down her neck to pump her full of parasites. Watching back through my capture footage for screenshots, I could hear myself mutter, "Not cool, man," into my headset, and it doesn't happen to Carlos. This game does not have a violence against women theme. I doubt most people find her being thrown against a car to be sexy. And we know for a fact that the developers did not specifically make these scenes to be sexy, because the art director admitted that they toned down Jill's sexiness. Jill used to be sexy. She's average now. Carlos also has some seriously messed up moments too. He has to fight off hordes of zombies and hunters. Why isn't there complaining about violence against men? He was hurt quite a lot too. I'm just gonna say the worse you play, the more the characters get hurt. If you're complaining about this, what challenges can we give to female characters without it being sexist? If you want a female to travel along the hero's journey, then the hero needs to face their trials and tribulations. Do you want female characters to automatically win without conflict? That's not the hero's journey, that's the definition of a Mary Sue. Reasonable women are only asking for equality in everything from entertainment to the real world, and that means we must also face conflict. Therefore, conflict is not sexist. Male and female characters need to face challenges together and the same challenges. I'm not sure what this writer is looking for because this game has Jill and Carlos facing nearly the same challenges. I wasn't even kidding on Nemesis having a sleazy dom energy, by the way. Jill's ex-super cop colleague Brad mentions Nemesis having a hard-on for her, By the way, he says having a hard-on for us, for STARS members, not specifically her. And when Carlos is introduced, while saving Jill from a mangling at the hands of old Bagfists himself, he quips that Nemesis knows what it wants and won't stop till it gets it. Don't you like that in a man? No thanks, Jill replies. He's all yours. Oh no! Characters having slightly suggestive dialogue. Call the freaking game journalists. And then it says that I actually like the interactions between Carlos and Jill, and they worked very well to dispel some of the general miasma of yikes mentioned above. Carlos, who is also sexy though I can't work out whether that's because of or despite his ridiculous hair, is just a prick. And while he wants to play a white knight, Jill's just not having any of it. Her dialogue never really strays into cringy strong female protagonist territory while fending it off. She's just a total professional. I actually disagree with his statement about her dialogue never really straying into cringy, strong female protagonist territory, because I do think that there were some moments where she makes pretty cringy statements, but the way that she talks and how sassy she is, and a lot of the dialogue in this game in general is very 90s. She's a very strong, sassy heroine, and Carlos is a pretty attractive guy, but he is just a guy that not only wants to get through the apocalypse, but also wants to impress a pretty lady. If you had met a girl like Jill that was strong and independent, but sexy and flirty, wouldn't you also want to impress her? So the rest of the article isn't too far-fetched. A lot of it does have good information and some opinions about the game, but the section about the game promoting violence against women is just pretty ridiculous in my opinion. I played through it. I'm a woman. I see nothing here that makes me feel uncomfortable or offended or makes me think that anyone's specifically targeting my gender and is promoting hatred against my gender. I thought the game was good. It does have some issues. I will be putting up a review on it soon, but let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you think the Resident Evil 3 remake promotes violence against women, or do you think that this is maybe just another video game journalist who's overreacting to maybe slightly suggestive dialogue? If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a like, and of course if you did not, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, and I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.